confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss, making decisions my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry True Podcast. Welcome to the house of. And shout out to the members.
Good morning. Shout out to the whole chat. Shout out to everybody that's coming in. I see y'all. Shout out to the members and the mods as always. All right, as you see up here on the screen, man, like Whack 100 say, we got the work. You know, we're going to go through the paperwork. We're going to break some of this down. We're going to chop this fable. Speaking of Whack 100, yes, I did see that full video. I might come back for a different live to talk about that. Seems like a lot of stupid stuff was happening in that video, but the streets is the streets. We might revisit that. So we'll get to that later. But this Jay-Z case, man, it definitely took a turn. We said in the prior stream, based on Alex Spiro's methods, his approach to trying to get this dismissed, trying to get this fast track, to try to get this thrown out. We saw his press conference. We actually broke down his press conference and we watched it all here live together. Very, very interesting. One thing that I said during that live is I said, man, this is new for me as far as judicial or let's say legal process. Is it possible? Like, can a powerhouse like Johnny Cochran or Alex Spiro or whoever, can they come up in there and then can we just like skip the line? Can we just reverse things? Can we just get dismissed? Money is power. What else is your network is power. Jay-Z is an extremely powerful person. He's tapped in with a lot of super strong people. But once you start getting into the legal system, I mean, are you having brunch with the judge? Are you golfing with the clerks, with the court clerks? Do you hang out with the prosecutors? You know, do you invite over the DA? Like, I don't know. It's possible. That's possible too. Right. But if we go over this paperwork here, we'll see the updates of that aggressive push that Jay-Z's legal team and Alex Spiro made. So let's go over this. Let's bring it up on the biggest screen here. And let's start to read through this. Off rip. This is my first time pulling up any real court paperwork documentation from Jay-Z's case. And of course, we knew that he was included with Diddy on this one, right? But look at this, man. They got all these entities pertaining to Diddy broken down as the defendant, right? And of course, still up here as the plaintiff, we still see Jane Doe, right? That was one of the things that Tony Busby was trying to protect, the identity of the alleged victim. And that's one of the things that Alex Spiro and Jay-Z's camp was going after. Identify yourself. Fuck this John Doe and Jane Doe stuff. We want to know who this is, because I want to start going after this person. I want to dig into their background. I want to put the PIs and the private investigators on this person. I want this person's call file. I want that address. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Tony Busby is alleging that he's being harassed, imagine what's going to happen to the alleged victim once people find out what that person's name is. But you see Sean Combs, Daddy House. Well, Sean Combs by itself. Daddy House Recording Incorporated, CEO, OPCO, LLC. I don't even know what that is. Combs Global, Combs Enterprises, LLC, Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings. It just goes through all these, you know, company and LLCs and entities associated with Diddy. And then, of course, here at the last one, you see Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Plaintiff Jane Doe filed this action on October 20th, 2024, alleging violation of the New York City Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act, New York City admin. Okay, by order dated November 6, 2024, the court provisionally granted plaintiff's motion to proceed anonymously, explaining that defendant had yet to appear in this matter and that the balance of interest weighing for or against anonymity may shift as her suit continues. On December 8, 2024, plaintiff amended her complaint to add Sean Carter, known professionally as Jay-Z, as the defendant. So we know about that. We know that this went in initially against Sean Combs, and then they went back later on and they decided to add Jay-Z. That within itself felt a little sketchy. Felt a little sketchy, and it also happened after Jay-Z was contacted by Tony Busby. They sent a demand letter. Within that demand letter, it's like, it's looking for a sit down, right? A conversation. Let's talk about this. I have an alleged victim that has your name, or we together, have your name, up on the board. Jay-Z then, under John Doe, anonymously files a civil suit against Tony Busby, alleging all types of things like extortion and, BS practices and all that type of stuff. After that, they go back, they add Jay-Z's name to this Sean Diddy Combs civil suit. So there's some odd shit there. But we're up to speed, okay? The next day, Carter's attorney filed a letter containing a declaration from an associate at his law firm, recounting a phone conversation she had with an unnamed woman who claimed the plaintiff's counsel encouraged her to lie about her experience of sexual assault. Carter's lawyer asked the court to consider this additional information in connection with plaintiff's motion to proceed anonymously. Plaintiff's counsel denied Carter's allegations against him. Makes sense. But that right there also was a part of, Alex Spiro's, all right, now we making our push here, right? This phone call, these accusations, it's not true. He said that in the press conference a bunch of times. This can't happen, and that can't happen because it's simply not true. Very, very, powerful thing to say. Instead of trying to add it all up as to why it can't be true, just simply say, we're stopping right there, black and white. It's not true. We don't need to do all the ifs and the ands and the thens and the else's, is because it's not true. Stop there. So all of that is kind of summarized in that last piece of what Alex Spiro began to do towards the courts. On December 13th, 2024, Carter's attorney filed an additional letter alerting the court to recently published interview of the plaintiff on NBC News. We went through that as well. Most of us thought to ourselves, like, that can't help Tony Busby and the victim, the alleged victim. There's no way that at that NBC News video did anything for her. We broke that down. There was some odd things that came out of that. There was some things that we chalked up as BS that came out of that. It didn't sound good. It didn't look good. Right? So, of course, why wouldn't Alex Spiro use that as well in these more recent efforts as he's continuing to push towards the court? Okay. In the interview, plaintiff, speaking anonymously, explained her allegations against defendants and her reasons for coming forward now. Carter's lawyer points to the interview in which plaintiff admitted the inconsistencies in her story as evidence that plaintiff's claims have no factual basis whatsoever. Bold, strong, clear cut. He also argues that plaintiff's counsel violated federal rule of civil procedure by failing to undertake a reasonable inquiry into the facts before filing the complaint and failing to seek admission. So what's that about? That's where Alex Spiro also alluded to. I think it was said this case came to not Alex Spiro, Tony Busby, through a third party. Right. So what he's saying is, Tony Busby gets a call. Hey, I got somebody over here for your law firm, and they have some alleged accusations possibly against Diddy and or Jay-Z. Okay. Tony Busby says, and I'm paraphrasing people. Tony Busby says, oh, word, bet. Well, you already see I got my 1-800 number over here. Let me get that. Send her my way. She comes through. Oh, what's your name? Nice to meet you, Tony Busby. Yeah, you might have heard about me. I do a lot of this type of stuff, man. Listen, man, we're going to get paid off of this. Give me a little backdrop of what you got going on. The moment she starts to explain, Tony Busby goes, yeah, whatever. All right, cool. Listen, I heard Sean Combs. I heard Jay-Z's name. That's all I need. Cool. I'll call you. Leave me your phone, your number, your address, and all that. I'll get back to you in a second. Let me go do my lawyer stuff now. He goes into court, he files, right? Of course, I'm being sarcastic there. And I'm joking a little bit. But that's Alex Spiro's accusation. That when you have something like this, you don't just turn around and say, hey, somebody called my 1-800 number. They said you did something to them 30 years ago at some White House that we think doesn't even exist. And then you walk into court and you file a suit behind it. Right. They're saying there's actual codes and there's actual, methods that you need to go through to before you even do that. Due diligence is something that we all say commonly. Right. The same thing applies in court. You're not supposed to just walk in there and say, I heard, You know what I'm saying? As a lawyer, you're supposed to take certain steps to validate or to attempt to validate, what you're going to represent legally. And Jay-Z side said this wasn't done. So they came with a lot of stuff. And this we're still getting through this. They're like, Alex Spiro wasn't playing. He still isn't. You got to give him that. Okay. Carter's attorney requested an expedited briefing scheduled for a motion to strike the first amended complaint under federal rules of civil procedure. You don't want to know the way I interpret that? He said fight. He said strike the amended shit. You know what the amended is, right? Remember, the case went in for Sean Diddy Combs, and then he was added later. Sean Carter was added later. His attorney said, "Listen, I don't know nothing about that Diddy shit. You leave that as it is, but take that amended shit or take Jay." Yo. And in the same fucking press conference, he comes out and says, they ain't friends, right? Look, they bump into each other at basketball games and celebrity functions, but other than that, they ain't friends. Jay-Z barely knows the nigga. Like, yo, Alex Spiro, B, if I could afford him, I'd keep his card in my wallet. Oh, shit. Yo. All right, let's continue. Oh, shit. The next day, Carter's counsel submitted yet another filing, a motion for an emergency order directing preservation of evidence and striking the amended complaint under rule, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So now these motions, there's 10 of them. And yeah, we're going to jump through them real fast. I got time, cuz it's all good. All right, let's get into these motions to proceed anonymously. Okay. In deciding whether a plaintiff may proceed anonymously, courts balance the plaintiff's interest in anonymity against both the public interest in disclosure and any prejudice to the defendant, sealed plaintiff versus sealed defendant. The Second Circuit has laid out a non-exhaustive list of factors to be considered. Okay, let's see this list to be considered. 1, whether the litigation involves matters that are highly sensitive and of a personal nature. Okay. 2, whether identification poses a risk of retaliation, physical or mental harm to the party seeking to proceed anonymously, or even more critically, to innocent non-parties. Number 2, we always gonna be fair on this channel, people. Number 2 holds weight. True. Is it true? Nobody could prove that. Like, does anybody have a fucking crystal ball or a time machine to say, okay, we now know her name and Jay-Z sent the goons, sent the wolves, right? You can't you could anticipate it. You could assume that to be the case, right? You could, even from a sake of how powerful Jay-Z is, you could say like number 2 holds weight. That needs to be factored in. Even if you remove Jay-Z, his power, his reach, his process, the things that him and his team might go through and do once they find out who you are, even if you remove them, how about the people that are third parties, like this said, or I should say non-parties, that could also be affected? The person tied to the alleged victim, and also that could even happen from third parties on Jay-Z's side. People that are just associated with him, people that love him, people that move on his behalf without even checking in and tapping in with him. Don't even have to be that. People that know him. It could be the people that don't know him and love him. The way you could even get attacked by fans. You got certain shit in this world that happens, B. You go ahead and put up the wrong sign next to your neighbors during an electoral run. You might get your fucking house shot up for voting for certain people in certain neighborhoods, right? You got people out here willing to take your life for Donald Trump, and they never met the man. Like, yeah, and vice versa for any electoral candidate. That's just an example of how it goes, right? So Jay-Z is so beloved, even on the internet. You know how much this person will get attacked. We will be talking about it. I'm not saying from the point of attacking her, but we will surely be here talking about it the moment that we find out any more personal details about this person. Once we found out about her mental condition, that became a factor and we talked about it. But this person still has to live through all of that. So whether it's a true physical threat, whether it's a threat to your mental, all of this type of stuff, your livelihood. What if you can't go to work anymore because you work at a public place, right? And your face is now known, and you simply go in there, like you got protesters outside your job, you got people like it really can be like this is real shit. This is real shit. So I can understand that holding a lot of weight for number two. Number three, whether identification presents other harms and likely severity to those harms, including whether the injury litigated against would be incurred as a result of the disclosure of the plaintiff's identity. So that ties into what I just said. Injury. They went there. It's a reality. I'm not saying it would or it wouldn't happen, but it's a reality. Four, whether the plaintiff is particularly vulnerable to the possible harms of disclosure, particularly in light of her age. In light of her age, what is like? What are you going to get? Ageism attacks and whatnot, and attacks because we're looking at you now. We're factoring how old you was allegedly when you're saying this happened. And whatever, that's light to me. Okay, cool. Number five, whether the suit is challenging the actions of the government or that of the private parties. Okay. Number six, whether the defendant is prejudiced by allowing the plaintiff to press her claims anonymously, whether the nature of that prejudice, if any, differs at any particular stage of the litigation, and whether any prejudice can be mitigated by the district court. I mean, that's a little bit more legal level jargonish, but still makes sense. Prejudice, different prejudices. What's an example of a prejudice that you can encounter by your identity being revealed? All right. This is a situation that is heavily involved in the hip hop culture, right? Hip hop culture is rooted in Black culture. Okay. Now, here comes, let's say, a white woman that comes off like she has nothing to do with hip hop culture. Um, you could have prejudices developed for that. Like, who is this person coming up in our culture and trying to dethrone put one of our goats underneath the jail and all? That's a prejudice, right? That's real talk. So, all right, let's continue. Number seven, whether plaintiff's identity has thus far been kept confidential. Okay, so it's been confidential thus far. Okay, they're trying to basically that's saying consistency. Number eight, whether the public's interest in litigation is furthered by requiring the plaintiff to disclose her identity. That's clear to me. That says if her identity isn't revealed, does that mean that you can't proceed defending yourself? Does that mean that the case can't proceed as a civil suit with the plaintiffs? No, it could be done anonymously. There's nothing that's halting either side by her identity being revealed. We know why you want her identity revealed because you want to be able to develop more of your defenses, to say the least. Okay, but no, there's nothing stopping it from proceeding. Um, Number nine, whether because of the purely legal nature of the issues presented or otherwise there is an atypically weak public interest in knowing the litigants' identities. And 10, whether there are any alternative mechanisms for protecting the confidentiality of the plaintiff. Okay. Hmm. All right. It starts to get heavy now. This is where we're like, damn, Jay, damn, Alex. Judge ain't playing with y'all, dog. All right, let's get into it, man. A court is not required to list each of the factors or use any particular formulation as long as it is clear that the court balanced the interests at stake in reaching its conclusion. Sounds very fair. Okay. Here, the weight of the factors tips and in favor of allowing plaintiff to remain anonymous at least for this stage of litigation. Factors 1, 2, 4, and 7 from the above weighed very heavily that we just read. Okay. In her amended complaint, plaintiff alleges that the defendants drugged and AR'd her when she was only 13. So we don't need to, they're using context there. I don't need to read all of that out, but they're using context and they're adding that also to the weight of bullets 1, 2, 4, and 7 above that we just ran down. Okay. Moreover, plaintiff's counsel asserts that many of his other clients who have filed similar lawsuits against Sean Combs claim to have been threatened by Combs for their decision to speak out. Right there, They're putting in legal documentation in the paperwork that even Sean Combs just hurt Jay-Z. Whether it's true that these people that are actually going after Diddy, whether it's true that they were threatened or not, they are stating that they're being threatened. So the fact that they're and I'm not saying like a tweet or some shit. We're talking about within legal process. This is where you got to assume it's that right hand and you're under oath, and you could all be filed or found under perjury if there's any lies. By the time it's in paperwork, it's going through the court process. It's going through the legal process. So people are claiming that Diddy is threatening people. And now, because I'm seeing that, and Diddy is on this paperwork with Jay-Z. Hey, Jay, sorry, buddy. I know this is your first claim. I know Diddy's got 50 over here that he's fighting, but these people are saying that they're getting threatened by him. So I can't see it being any different in this particular case. All right. Granted, several factors weigh against allowing plaintiff to proceed anonymously. Plaintiff is challenging the actions of private parties, not the government. And given the media attention surrounding this case, the public has a substantial interest in the litigation, separate and apart from its general interest in an accused being able to publicly confront an accuser. Yo, do y'all interpret that the way that I just interpret that? I see that as the court saying, because this is so big in the public, because there's so much eyes on this, because it's making so many headlines, not just because it's Jay-Z, but take out the names. The fact that we have a lot of eyes on a situation with a plaintiff saying, I was hard. So we need to step up and show that there's judicial process. We want all these eyes on a given case where somebody has sensitive claims like that, and see that we were able to just sidestep it and throw it out because somebody was involved as a defendant that is powerful or has a lot of money or a big time lawyer. I don't care about Alex Spiro. I don't care about Jay-Z. I just see a big situation going on in the news, and we got to let it go through and be represented that, hey, in this country, we're not gonna. It's no different to me than a bigger police presence, more police tactics, feds coming in, and more investigative hours applied to, let's say, a shooting that happens in a high-profile area, right? When FBG Duck gets killed in the Gold Coast, right? Unfortunately, but it's true. We know how it is. Unfortunately, it happening right there in front of like Dolce and Gabbana is different than it happening in the alleys of the projects. So the bigger the public response around something, people on the judicial side feel the need to step up and show. I got to show. I can't have y'all looking at me like we ain't a real government or a real process or don't uphold the law. Spooky. So your name, Jay-Z, and all of this attention adds to it staying and remaining. And it makes sense, right? And when we talk about remaining anonymous consistently, P. Powell said, and finally, although plaintiff sat for an interview with NBC News concerning her case, NBC allowed her to conduct the interview anonymously. So, all right, let's continue. Granted, several factors weigh against allowing plaintiff to proceed anonymously. Plaintiff is challenging the actives of private parties, not the government. And given the media attention surrounding this case, the public has a substantial interest. So we just went through that part. So you got Doe versus Combs. Alternative mechanisms may exist to protect confidentiality, namely the redaction and sealing of documents. So they're saying that legal process wise, because the bullets above, when we said like her remaining anonymous doesn't stop the process on either side. Like the case can still be tried. It could still be defended. It could still be right. And they're saying, people, don't give me this whole it hurts the process legally. We have this thing that we always do of sealing documents, or if the documents are available publicly like they are right here, if we have to put the name of the accuser, there'll be a big black bar over it. That's what happens when we say the word redacted or the redaction process, right? It also happens with confidential informants, right? When they don't want these public paperwork parties to happen on the internet, and everybody say, okay, this person from OTF really is the snitch. Everybody go get him, right? No. Like, they try to protect the witnesses. They try to protect people that are deemed to remain anonymous for whatever reasons that have just cause. And that's where you start seeing those black bars. That's where you see people's addresses protected, people's names protected, all that type of stuff. Okay. Informants and so forth and so on. Okay. All right. Nevertheless, at this exceedingly early stage in the case, horns. Stop there, just as we read that piece of the sentence. Yo, judge said, nevertheless, at this exceedingly early stage in the case. Y'all know how to read English language. What does that say? It's like, yo, we just got here. We just walked in. The doors of the club just opened. The DJ just plugged up his gear. The music just started playing. The waitresses and the bartenders just started pouring drinks. You want the party to end? No. We far from the lights being turned on. Nobody even came up in here and did bottle service yet, and we didn't get to the hit songs yet or nothing. The place ain't full yet. There's only 10 people here. No. It's 10 p.m. This one right here is scheduled to go to 6 a.m. What you mean? Exceedingly early. Exceedingly early, B. Yo, this judge is all right. The fact is, counseling against disclosure outweigh those that counsel in favor, requiring the plaintiff to identify herself as the case approached trial. Okay. Accordingly, plaintiff's motions to proceed anonymously is granted. Okay. And we're just doing the anonymous thing. We didn't get to the wait on Alex Spiro yet. It's coming. Plaintiff is advised that because the balance of these factors will certainly shift as the case proceeds, especially if and when the parties engage in discovery in earnest, the court intends to revisit this decision at a future date. So when we get into discovery, Alex Spiro and your legal team, if things start going back and forth that present more of a legal basis and a reason for us to identify this person, because maybe it is blocking due process for the defense. Maybe there are other people that's coming in. Maybe there are certain things that is too shifty to ignore. When we get into later parts of this, including discovery, we can revisit this. Sounds fair. Sounds fair. Okay, we're not shutting this down. We're not going to see her name redacted the whole time, possibly, right? We could talk about this later on. But right now, it makes no sense to the court. All right, remaining motions. Since Carter's attorney first appeared in this case 17 days ago, 17, yo, this judge, people. I don't know if y'all be catching like the little small shots. Like, it'd be like the half of the sentence that I read, and I'd be like, oh, judge is on your ass. Since Carter's attorney first appeared in this case 17 days ago, he has submitted a litany of letters and motions attempting to impugn the character of plaintiff's lawyer, many of them expounding on the purported urgency of this case. Plaintiff's counsel as self-promoting, that's what they're saying that they're trying to do, you know, like Tony Busby's out here trying to clout chase, self-promoting and accusing him of extortion. That's big. That's big. The judge is bringing about what you are accusing Tony Busby for. Requesting to be heard on an expedited basis and accusing plaintiff's counsel of exploiting the legal process to generate media attention. Asserting that plaintiff's counsel seeks only to benefit himself. Requesting the shortening of a deadline, 21 days to 1 day. Describing the plaintiff's counsel as willing to blatantly violate the core ethical obligations of all attorneys and requesting a hearing on a motion the following day. That is a summary of what Alex Spiro did in the 17 days. And aggressive is 100% the word. I don't fault Alex Spiro for it though. And then you don't know the pressure from Jay-Z, because we hear about things like the building of the casino in Midtown Manhattan. Obviously, he's got stuff going on with the NFL. Beyonce out here, she just did an amazing halftime show performance. We see that Beyonce overall, when it comes to viewership, lands in the top 10 Super Bowl halftime show viewerships of all time. So Beyonce's out here moving around. This shit is bigger than Nino Brown, people. So you could see why there could be pressure even from Jay-Z and Beyonce's camp and everybody associated with them and getting money with them, from Rock Nation to NFL to like casino, all of this. So Alex Spiro possibly was doing not only his job to try to find these cracks in what I can attack to hopefully get this shit tossed in 24 hours, but he's got pressure from his clients. Hey, man, we paying you the big bucks. Get your ass out there, man. I got to go sign off on this new NFL deal, on this new casino deal or build. Go ahead. He's like, I got you. The judge just laid that out, though. The judge don't give a fuck about none of that shit. The judge like, I don't got nothing. I ain't even going to make $1 with you with that casino. I'm walking home with my regular salary. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Carter's lawyers' relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and add attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. It's big screen for a second. This is why the title says money didn't matter. I don't clickbait y'all. I might got some shit in there that y'all disagree with, but I don't clickbait y'all. Like, I really be mean in my titles. Judge say, yo, who the fuck you think you are? Who are you right now? Both of y'all. He said, what you mean? And then even the judge seems to be being extremely professional in the write-up of it, because like even saying things like inflammatory, it's keying in like, yo, dude, don't try to come to the court and saying, yo, this asshole piece of shit did this. Just come to me and say, this lawyer is incorrect about ABC. You think that I don't see through your inflammatory nature or language or write-ups or accusation or saying he's extorting you or saying that he's here for clout or saying that this is false or the press conference that you held? That's very nice that you did all of that within 17 days. But around here, if we open the doors to the club at 10 p.m., we plan on being to this month at least until 2 a.m. Let alone the flyer says through 6, at least 2 a.m. And that's depending on when people leave. My parallels there is Discovery and shit. I don't want to talk in my own little weird nature code and y'all don't understand because y'all know me by now. But yo, the lawyer seems very, very solid. I mean, not lawyer, the judge seems very, very solid. Very fair, very solid, very stern, as we would want our judges in the judicial system to be. Right? You don't want your judge that's on your fucking case to be pushed over because somebody had a golf game with them, right? Because now your life and your reputation and your money and your family is at stake, right? All right. Jay-Z voice. Keep going. All right. Moreover, although Carter's attorney assails plaintiff's lawyer as having a chronic inability to follow the rules, Carter's counsel has failed to abide by this court's clear rules. Under the court's individual practices in civil cases and with limited exceptions, pre-motion letter is required prior to the filing of any motion. So within that 17 days, you filed the motion, but there's supposed to be a pre-motion. So Alex had a misstep there. So the judge is saying. Although Carter's attorney stated that he intended to file immediately a motion to strike the first amended complaint under rule, yada, yada, yada. So at least he had legally backed rules that Alex Spiro was going off. Alex is good. I'm not taking nothing away from Alex in this whole thing, nor the judge. It's like two very solid, smart people right here that's just weeding through this. Okay. This ain't like when Diddy's lawyer came out and said, yo, I mean, go and sit in the fucking parking lot of Costco and see if everybody's coming out in baby oil. And then Costco came out and said, we don't carry baby oil, fucker. I'm not doing that to Alex. Alex is doing his thing here. But this judge is doing their thing too. Wait for the court to set a requisite 5 business days to respond. See individual practices. Wait for the court to in a motion to schedule or state whether any exception to the court's individual practices applied. This is unacceptable. Counsel is hereby advised that any further motions filed in violation of the court's individual practices may be denied on that ground alone. It's a warning, Alex. What you did right here, don't do again, because you're wasting your time as well as ours. I'm telling you, on those grounds alone, you take that path again, it's a wrap. It's being immediately tossed. It won't be heard. Lastly, although Carter's attorney is entitled to file Rule 11 motion without first seeking leave of court, the court discourages this approach. If he still intends to serve plaintiff with a motion for sanctions, the court denies his request to shorten the safe harbor provision contained within Rule 11 from 21 days to 1 day. What did you think you was doing with the 1 day shit, homie? What did you think you was doing, Alex? Damn, did Jay pull a gun on you, dog? All right. At Carter's motion to strike the amended complaint under Rule 12 is denied. By January 10th, 2025, plaintiff shall file her response to Carter's motion for an order directing the preservation of evidence. By January 17th, Carter shall file his reply, if any. The clerk of court is respectfully directed to terminate the motions at ECF, NOS 32, 37, 42, 41, and 46. Court provision, legal provision stuff. Signed, Annalisa Torre, or Torres, however it's being pronounced, United States District Judge. Annalisa Torre or Torres, y'all pay attention to her. She about her business. She about her business, dog. Subtopic off of this and closing out my title, Money Didn't Matter. Folks, this is the Sorry Is True podcast. I have my biases, I have my opinions, and at times we have our facts. But I'm going to maintain, at least in my eyes, of the things that I cover and the things that we discuss, I'm going to maintain a high level of fairness. Like, if the sky is blue and I get in front of here and I keep calling it red on some academic Drake shit, I lose my credibility. I don't want that. No matter how entertaining some of these episodes could be, it's not just the entertainment value for me. It's not just the news value for me. I got people that's tuning into this podcast now saying, hey, I come to you for my news. That's dope. But me, I'm still on my RBE shit. It's still the same person that ran Rare Beat Entertainment. I want to be fair. If I'm not being fair, it's because something of my personal opinion or bias is invoked for whatever reason, and I'll do my best to explain it logically. But I say all that to say, all the new watchers of me and this podcast, people, this is fair. Y'all see the first stream that I cut on when the news broke that Jay was being sued civilly for an R of a minor? I was like, oh man, my fucking GOAT. Jay-Z's my, if you ask me, yo, pick one rapper to sit in the of all time, I pick Jay-Z. If you ask me in basketball, I pick Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jay's my GOAT. That don't mean I'm gonna sit up here and be like, oh no, he won it all, and he like, you guys ass whooped in ether. I'm not doing the fucking academic shit. Like I mean, beat the great, not like no, you guys ass whooped. Even Jay had the lyric, I got stronger after ether. Yeah, you better have went in the gym after ether. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing that shit over here. It's not in my, I can't do it. My skin itches when people do that shit. Nah, this shit is fair, G. And it's consistent to what I said on a prior stream. I was like, yo, this is new for me. Like, if Alex gets this shit tossed, it's going to show me something new legally that I've never seen before. That was a dope press conference he put together with slides and pictures and bullets and time frames of travel, and the U-shaped driveway on a White House doesn't exist, and they try to pull a dude in over here with the tattoo and he was somewhere else, and here's the pictures where Diddy and Jay-Z was over here at that. Alex Spiro did his thing in that press conference, B. He did his thing. But if this was me, if I was related to this girl, if I really believed that it happened, I don't know what the father, some other shit. The father threw her under the bus. Like, I don't know. I think I would have remembered that. But if I was her father, B, I wouldn't give a fuck if it was Jay-Z. I wouldn't give a fuck if it was Diddy. I wouldn't give a fuck that he's a billionaire. And neither would y'all. You're not supposed to. Right? I'm not saying that our court systems are perfect, and some of us are scared to death of the court systems. We're like, hell no, right? But if you're in a situation like this, I don't want your money to trump me. I want you being right to trump me. If I gotta lose, let it be because you are right and I'm wrong, or you were able to prove areas of your defense or your accusation better than I was able to prove mine. I could be right and still lose because my lawyer did a shitty job, or there was a misstep because I went and did an NBC interview and I shouldn't have. But, like shit like that. Like, I could understand that. I could understand. I wouldn't want to sit in jail behind it. Like, oh shit, I'm really innocent. You know what I mean? So I get it, but this point of the process is fair as shit. And Jay-Z ain't sitting in jail right now with Diddy. And hopefully, because I don't be wishing this shit on people, hopefully, the floodgates don't open up, because the world would have seen this too. The world would have seen like, oh shit, you play with Jay, you play with Rock Nation, you play with Beyonce, because it's still connected to Beyonce. It is like there's still a powerhouse together. You play with that entity, you know what I'm saying? And you could have your shit thrown out in 17 days, and then they're gonna come after you, because that was gonna be the next step. That's what Alex Spiro said himself. We're gonna deal with Tony Busby later. They would have took care of the priority, which is, let's get this R accusation dismissed and off of my jacket. Let me get back to my reputation and my business, and then immediately, Tony Busby, I got to see you, right? And that would have sent a rippling effect of people saying like, oh shit. So technically, when we say, and podcasters do it too, man, listen, if it's UMG, if it's Rock Nation, whatever, I ain't playing with it. Technically, why? UMG could be wrong. Spotify could be wrong. We just pulled up the other day, Spotify is worth over $90 billion. They could be wrong, no. I'm not sticking up for Drake right there. They could be wrong, no, right? Wrong is wrong, right is right. So money didn't matter in the title. And in some cases, it's not supposed to, okay? Don't play golf with the judge that's on my case and ignore that my child was possibly art. I don't think Jay-Z did this shit, but I'm saying in general, okay? Well, I hope that this was an entertaining breakdown. We read through the paperwork and we built and spun a nice topic off of it. And even hopefully some of the subtopics in between the reading helped us all stay up to speed, learn a little bit. I learn as I go through all this type of shit too. I'm learning new shit. You know what I mean? Alex almost taught me some new shit within 17 days. I was like, oh shit. I would be asking lawyers about that. Hey man, Alex Spiro did it. You can get my shit tossed in 17 days too, right? There's processes for that, right? And they look at me like, no. Hi, y'all have a good morning, y'all. I'm out of here.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss making decisions, my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I drop it, connected to block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry True Podcast. Welcome to the house of. And shout out to the members.
Without, I think still got a gun.